Hello. This is Math with Miss Mac, and today we're going to be discussing polynomials. We're going to start at the very beginning so that when we get to more complicated stuff, you already know how to do the basic stuff. But before we begin, you need some materials. If you are already my student, then you have access to this worksheet. However, if you are not my student, please get the link below in the description box, or you can just copy down the problems if you'd like to. So just a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to need to define some words before we get into the worksheet. So the first word is polynomial. It's an expression with many terms. Poly means many, and nomial, I guess, just means terms. Second word we're going to be defining is a leading term. The leading term is the term in a polynomial with the highest power of x. It normally comes first when your polynomial is written in standard form. The third word we're going to define is leading coefficient. That is the coefficient of the leading term that comes first in a polynomial and written in standard form. And the last word we're defining is the word degree. And the degree is just the value of the exponent of the leading term. So once you have finished copy down all 4 vocabulary words, go ahead and get your worksheet, and we're going to start with problem A. All right, so this is our first example. This is an example of a polynomial that is in standard form. Notice that it has, the first term has an exponent value of 4, which is the highest value of any of the exponents in this polynomial. So we started with a value of 4 for my exponent, then 3, then 2, 1, and then nothing. So whenever you're working with polynomials, you need to write your answers in this format. So let's use the words that we just defined to help fill in the blanks. So I'm going to start all the way at the right with the 10 because it's the easiest. The 10 does not have a variable, which makes it a constant. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and work with that. So that's the first term in my polynomial that is in standard form. So that makes this my leading term. So go ahead and fill that in. Now we are here. And that is just my leading coefficients. We fill that in. And then the last piece is this. And that we would normally call an exponent, but since this is the exponent of my leading term, we're going to call this the degree. All right, and we are moving on to part B. All right, so the question says to place the polynomial in standard form, then answer the questions below. So I have a polynomial that's here. I'm going to look through the polynomial and find the term that has the highest value of the exponent. And that happens to be this term over here. The value of the exponent is 3, which is bigger than the rest of the terms in the polynomial. So I'm going to go ahead and write down that first term. Remember, when you're writing down terms, that's not in order of the problem. You need to take the sign to the left of the number. So the sign to the left of the number is negative, which I'll be taking with me when I'm writing down my first term. So my first term is negative 6x to the third power. I'm going to cross that out because I'm done with it. Then I'm going to go down 1. So from 3 as my exponent, I'm going to go down to 2. And that's this term over here. Taking the sign to the left is plus 5x squared. I'm going to cross that out. And now I'm going down 1 more, so 3x. And the only thing that's left is my plus 4. So that is my answer in standard form. So let's answer the questions. Question number 1. What is the degree? Again, my degree is the value of the exponent that is in my leading term, that first number that we wrote down, the degree of the highest numeric value of my exponent, which is 3. 2. What is the leading coefficient? That's the first number that I wrote down, so negative 6. 3. What is the leading term? The first term that I wrote down, so negative 6x to the third power. And my constant is the value that does not have an exponent. Does not have a variable, which is 4. So in this next section, you're going to try everything that we just did on your own. You're going to place each of the polynomials in standard form, identify the degree, find the leading coefficient, identify the leading term, and then the constant. And then in question number 3, you're going to be given a scenario that tells you what the polynomial has to have in order for you to have the correct answer. So for question number 3, you need to have a degree of 4, a leading coefficient of 2, and a constant of 5. So you have to select the right choice. So please pause the video now, answer the 3 questions, and then come back so we can go through it. All right, so let's get into question number 1. We're going to place it in standard form. We're looking for the term that has the biggest value of my exponent, and that is this buddy over here. So negative 2x to the 5th power. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Cross it out because I'm done with it. I don't see anything with x to the 4th power, but I do see an x to the 3rd power, so that's going to be my next term. So plus x to the 3rd power. Cross that out. My next term is going to be 4x, so plus 4x. And the only thing that's left over is that minus 1. Done. My degree is 5. My leading coefficient is negative 2. My leading term is negative 2x to the 5th power. And my constant is negative 1. Question 2, we're going to find the term that has the highest value of my exponent, which is this person here, or this guy there. So I have 5x to the 3rd power is my first term, minus 4x to the 2nd power, cross that out, and then plus 7x. My degree is going to be 3, my leading coefficient 5, my leading term 5x to the 3rd power, and my constant. Well, this one doesn't really have a constant because there is no term without a variable. But since there is no term without a variable, my constant is going to be 0. And we're done. All right, so question number 3, which takes a little thought, but it's all right. So we know that we need a polynomial with a degree of 4. So how about we just go through the problems, go through the choices, and cross out the questions the choices that don't have a degree of 4. So question part A. Choice A, it says the degree here is 2, not 4, so I can't pick that one. For part choice B, my degree is actually 5, so that's not going to work because I need a degree of 4. Let's cross that out. Choice C, we do have a degree of 4, and choice D, we also have a degree of 4 as well. So let's go into the next part of the criteria that we need to meet. So it needs to have a leading coefficient of 2. So let's go back to choice C. The leading coefficient is actually negative 2 here because it's attached to the variable that has the degree of 4. So that's not going to work because we need a leading coefficient of 2. Let's look at choice D. As you can see here, we have a leading coefficient of 2, a degree of 4, and a constant of 5, which makes D our answer. All right, so if you're working from the worksheet, we're going to flip the page over, and we are going to look at part C. So it says simplify each sum, then write your answer in standard form. And we're going to answer the questions below. So with this is the most amount of terms that we've seen so far on this worksheet. We have to combine the like terms. We can't just leave it like this. It's just too messy. So when we're answering this question, we need to write it in standard form. So I'm just going to go through each of the terms and identify which term has the highest value of my exponent. So as I look through, I see that the highest value of my exponent belongs to this. My degree is actually 3. I don't see any other terms that has an exponent value of 3. So I'm just going to write that as my first term. Cross it out just to keep track of what's going on. If I go down one, so I started out with x to the 3rd power, and now I'm going to go look for x to the 2nd power. I see 2 terms, and I'm just going to add the numbers in front of them. So negative 6 plus 3 is going to give me negative 3, and I'm just going to attach my exponent and my variable there. Cross those out. The next terms I'm working with is 4x and negative 8x. So 4x minus 8x would give me negative 4x. Done with those. And my last term is my constant, which is 5. So that's my answer in standard form. Let's answer the questions. My degree is 3. My leading coefficient is negative 5. My leading term is negative 5x to the 3rd power. And my constant is 5. So now let's go to part D. And this one is a little different. If you were going to make a mistake on anything, it would be this. Okay. So we have to simplify each difference and then write our answer in standard form. So let's look at the reason why this is different and more difficult is because we have that subtraction sign in the middle. The subtraction sign only applies to the second set of everything in the second set of parentheses. Since there is no number in the front of the first set of parentheses, those parentheses doesn't actually matter. It doesn't affect anything. So what I'm going to do is actually rewrite everything inside the first set of parentheses over so we can get that out the way. So 6x squared minus 3x to the fourth power minus 8x to the third power, and let's get into the second set. So even though we don't see a number in front of the second set of parentheses, we're going to act like there's a -1 there. All right? So that we're actually going to distribute -1 into everything on the inside of the second parentheses. So we can either think of either multiplying -1, or we're just simply going to change the signs of everything on the inside of the parentheses. It's going to become its opposite. All right, so let's go ahead and go through that. -1 times 5x squared is just going to be -5x squared. -1 times 7x to the third power is just going to be -7x to the third power. -1 times -5x is going to be +5x. So now that we're done with this problem looks just like part C. So we're going to go ahead and look through the polynomial that we have here it's our leading term, the term that has the highest value of the exponent. And that happens to be this thing right here. All right, so I'm going to write that down since there's nothing else I can combine it with. I have -3x to the fourth power. I'm done with it. I cross it out. So now I'm looking for my next term, which would be -8x to the third power and -7x to the third power. I add those and I get -15x to the third power. Cross those out. Now I'm left with 6x squared and -5x squared. I add those and I get +x squared. Cross them out. And I'm just left with that. So +5x. So that's my answer in standard form. I'm going to answer the questions below. What is my degree? I'm hoping everybody can answer this by now without me here, but my degree is 4. What is the leading coefficient? -3. My leading term, -3x to the fourth power. The constant, there is no constant, so I'm just going to put 0. Now you're going to do the last 2 questions on your own, which mirror the 2 questions that we just did in part C and part D. Question number 4 should be pretty self-explanatory. Question number 5, make sure you are distributing that -1 into everything in the second set of parentheses. So go ahead and pause the video and come back when you're finished. All right, so let's get started with question number 4. So I'm going to look for the terms that have the highest value for my exponent. And that happens to be -4n and -4n to the fourth power and -6n to the fourth power. So when I combine those, I get -10n to the fourth power. So I'm going to cross those out to keep track of things. The next value is going to be my n. So I'm going to go and combine 3n and -8n. So I get -5n. I'm done with those. And I have constants to combine. So I have 4 plus 7, which gives me 11. So let's answer the questions. What is the degree? My degree is 4. My leading coefficient is -10. My leading term is -10n to the fourth power. And my constant is 11. Question 5. I'm going to go ahead and write the terms in the first parentheses, because nothing really is getting affected there because there's nothing to distribute. And now with my second set of parentheses, I'm going to multiply everything on the inside of the second set of parentheses by -1. So -1 times 6x to the second power is -6x squared. -1 times -4x to the fourth power is +4x to the fourth. And negative 1 times negative 6x is plus 6x. So now I'm going to do the same thing that I did for question number 4. And I'm going to identify the degree of the problem, which is 4. So I'm going to start out with plus 4x to the 4th power and 4x to the 4th power. I add those. I get 8x to the 4th power. Cross those out. And next I'm going to head down to negative 6x to the 2nd power. There's nothing else to combine that with, so I'm just going to write it down. Now I'm at 6x and negative 4x. So I get 2x. Cross those out. And my last term is my 7x. It's by itself. My degree is 4. My leading coefficient is 8. My leading term is 8x to the 4th power, and my constant is 7. So this is the end of this worksheet. If you have the independent practice, please go ahead and do that. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them down below or send me an email or a message. Have a good day and stay safe and healthy.